I'm giving somebody the blues today.
I think Multiverses is a perfect example of squandering your potential. When this game was first shown off, everyone celebrated. Everyone was happy. Each reveal, each announcement had the players like just jumping with joy. People were literally speculating so hard about who could be in the game. At the time, it felt like Marvel's Rivals. You know how Marvel's Rivals, for those of you who have Twitter or something like that, you check, and every single time you see people talking about what character could come next, everyone's having so much fun with the game. You know, expectations is so high, but also like so lively. Multiverses was that. People were so excited for this game. And once, I believe it was the beta, the game actually dropped. It was monstrous. This was one of the few fighting games. I know people say platformers and Smash type games aren't fighting games, but most people look at these things as fighting games. It's only like the super diehard players who try to say this is not a fighting game. But for all the other casuals out there, Multiverses and Smash, they're fighting games, Brawlhalla and stuff like that, right? So let's just get that out of the way first. But when this game dropped, it was massive. This was one of the few fighting games to literally sweep and consume and dominate Twitch. You had people like Kai Cenat, all of AMP. You had everyone playing this game. This game was doing everything right. There was one thing, however. At the same time of all of that celebration, you did have people post clips of the game being basically unbalanced. And this is kind of the same thing that happens with Marvel Rivals, but not to the same extent. There is clips of people doing like infinite combos and just like the most absurd things, right? The game was in a beta. I compare this to so much to Marvel's Rivals because you have two games that kind of came out of nowhere, both free to play, both have all of these characters they're going to add in later. The way people reacted to it is very similar, and the end points, the end goals is very different. One game is a massive success that will probably be here for years and years and years. The other one will be gone by the end of the year. Multiverses had an incredible beta, and then I was so confused because they took the game offline. They took it offline and they planned to do some work to it and then bring it back better for the official release. Now, when you just talk about that point in time, I think it was way too long. I understand they had to work on the game and they had to make it right, but the game just disappeared for such a long time to where people just forgot about it. Like, it felt like the game released and fell off. That's what it felt like. But actually, they released it as a beta and they took the beta back. And I think just the general people who were consumed by it, there is no way all of those people were going to return many, many months later. I think it was like a year later or something like that. But then also, and this is where the biggest fumble of all time occurs. When they released it, I remembered seeing once again people on the internet giving reviews of the game saying that it launched in a worse state than it was in a beta. So they took the beta, which everyone was having fun. Yes, there was issues, but they worked on that for like a year, released it, and then people said it was worse. That's crazy. Also, I think something that really was a nail in the coffin for this game was the way that they did the roster. The only character you had unlocked was Shaggy. Ultra Instinct Shaggy. They were riding off a meme that was born by the Mortal Kombat community. The meme reached pretty far, pretty wide, and they embraced that and used that as their foundation for their roster. For the other characters on the roster, you were given 4 at a given time that you could sample and they would rotate. Why did they not make Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman unlocked at the start? I do not understand. That probably was the worst thing they could have done because, once again, comparing it to Marvel's Rivals, another free to play game. You download that game, you install it, and the whole roster is open. You don't have to spend a dime. Whatever your favorite superhero is, you could just try it. When I first played the game, I tried Spider-Man, I tried Venom, I tried so many different characters. And that is just another reason to like play the game, to experience the game, to see what all of these characters can do. With Multiverses, you didn't have that. You had Shaggy and whatever the 4 random characters were that they gave you at the time, that was all you had to experiment. That was all you had to like try to work off of. And you didn't know when the characters that you actually like or actually wanted to try became available. The only way to get that unlocked was to pay money. And I think that was the worst way to go about it. And in my opinion, I think that was one of the biggest reasons why this game probably fell off, because that is just was a horrible idea. And when you talk about a lot of these free to play games and all the different type of models these game developers follow, that by far has to be the worst. And I think no other game out there should do that. This game had all the potential to be something great, and they just squandered it. Here's a post from the official MULTIVERSUS account. It's been an incredible ride, MVPs. Thank you for all the support. For more details, check out the blog. So they have this picture here which says, Season 5 will serve as the final update for MULTIVERSUS, beginning 2/4/25 and ending 5/30/25. After Season 5 ends, players will be able to enjoy the game offline for the foreseeable future. So that's pretty cool. They're not shutting down the servers and removing your ability to play it, which a lot of people do, a lot of games do. So that's a bonus that they're allowing you to play it offline. So this also is good because you won't lose your purchases and everything that you did invest into the game. So that's cool. And also for the people who maybe you would want to play MULTIVERSUS in the future, just download it, install it, and then you can uninstall it, but just have that saved to your console or your PC. So in the future, you could go back to it and you can experience it. This is a quote from, I believe, Jeff Keighley, the guy who does the Game Awards. This is one of the most devastating announcements I have seen in the history of video game industry. MULTIVERSUS will always be one of the most life-changing and impactful games I ever played. Here's the thing about fighting games that you also have to acknowledge is that the people who are making fighting games, like the companies who are making fighting games, are the companies who have always made fighting games. Warner Bros. Always did Injustice, always did Mortal Kombat, and they tried a new type of game and it failed. When the companies who've always made video games are struggling to make successful video games in this era, that would make it less likely that another new studio will get in and do it. We do have 2XKO, which is a rarity. That is a League of Legends juggernaut stepping in and trying to make a really good fighting game. Whether or not that one succeed will dictate whether or not other companies will try it, because MULTIVERSUS being a failure, Mortal Kombat struggling, Tekken 8, stumbling a little bit. It looks like a type of game genre that is very difficult to do, and a lot of these companies don't want that. A lot of companies don't want to struggle for like profit. They would much rather release like a hero shooter and then just let the money roll in. The death of MULTIVERSUS is impactful for many reasons, even if you don't play the game itself, because just what it means for other fighting games or new ideas. Because yes, we have like Virtual Fighter and stuff like that making a strong comeback, but you do want like brand new fighting games, once again, like 2XKO. Now, as for Warner Bros., Warner Bros. Is in a sticky situation. Warner Bros. Is the company who owns MULTIVERSUS and also Mortal Kombat Studios. And their current perception on fighting games is changing as well. I believe back in 2022, 2021, they were putting a lot of pressure on NetherRealm Studio, the people who make Mortal Kombat, to turn a profit. They told those guys, we want to sell off the gaming division because, they have their own issues as well. They're kind of being viewed as monopoly after their merger with Discovery. So they are trying to get rid of things that can make them look smaller but retain their power. And the fighting games studio division being so bad, currently is something they're looking or was looking to get out of. And with MULTIVERSUS flopping, you would have to imagine that that's something that's on their mind once more. With Mortal Kombat 1, according to the leaks that was going around a couple of months ago, it didn't do well. Mortal Kombat was supposed to be supported, according to Ed Boon, for years to come or something like that. And then there was a leak saying that that's not going to happen, and this season pass will be the final season pass. So you can see that the game division in Warner Bros. Is suffering in all angles, and it would reignite this idea that Warner Bros. Probably wants to sell off that division. And in order to stay relevant in the gaming industry, this is what they could do. This tweet says, Warner Bros. Are reportedly aiming to do more collaborations with other games, including Fortnite, after shutting down their Multiversus game. So instead of trying to create games and make new games, they will probably just go the route of let's do collaborations. And that's a huge loss. Huge loss. I mean, it's good for like games who do collaborations. Fighting games is pretty big on that. Fortnite, Call of Duty. There's a lot of games who are big on that, and they can definitely gain from that. But the idea of there being no Warner Bros. Type game and possibly those things being sold to somewhere else is devastating.